provide clean water to the people of Maitri Gama. Gammetta, for the people, by the people.
TV1 රැස්වීදෙන ජීවිතේ
රට නගන ජන පවුර ගම්මැද්දෙන් 2022 අවුරුද්දේ සිදු කළ ව්‍යාපෘතිවලින් කිහිපයක්
2022 ජනවාරි 1 වැනිදා
වැලිමඩ බොරලන්ද ගල් ඒදණ්ඩ මාර්ගය
2022 ජනවාරි 8 වැනිදා
අනුරාධපුර කඳුරුපිටිය පිරිසිදු පානීය ජල ව්‍යාපෘතිය
2022 ජනවාරි 21 වැනිදා
පොළොන්නරුව උල්කටපොත පිරිසිදු පානීය ජල ව්‍යාපෘතිය
2022 පෙබරවාරි 4 වැනිදා
මහවිලච්චිය පිරිසිදු පානීය ජල ව්‍යාපෘතිය
2022 පෙබරවාරි 17 වැනිදා
අනුරාධපුර කටුවරගාල වැව පිරිසිදු පානීය ජල ව්‍යාපෘතිය ගම්මැද්ද රට නගන ජන පවුර තවදුරටත් ඔබ වෙනුවෙන් ඉදිරියට
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.
And a very good evening to you and a warm welcome to Newsline Live. Now then, tomorrow is 50 days of the protests at Golface, Gota Go Home Gama. And in the meantime, there has been attempts to subvert the peaceful protests. On the 9th of May, we had the dreadful situation where people emerged from the official residence of the second citizen of the country, the Prime Minister's residence, Temple Trees, and they were carrying wooden poles construed to be weapons, depending on the context and the time of use. And they proceeded to inflict violence against peaceful protesters. Prior to all that, we had a outgoing Prime Minister, or the then Prime Minister, we didn't know he was outgoing at the time, who sort of had a meeting with about 2,000 people. And it is some of those people who actually emerged from the Temple Trees onto the Gore Road and carried out these attacks. The police, we must note that there was no immediate response with water cannons or with tear gas. There was some delay. All of us know what that delay was now. And there is an ongoing investigation to investigate and to establish whether there could be a case brought in against various people for incitement to violence. Although, in my view, that these people who encourage or did encourage covertly or overtly, they also had an incentive to commit this violence. Let's find out, shall we? We're delighted to have Senior DIG, retired now, Priyantha Jayakodi with us. And a very good evening to you, sir. And welcome.
Good evening, Faraz.
Thank you for coming here. Senior DIG Priyantha Jayakodi, you've spent a long time in the police force.
Yes, approximately 40 years.
Around 40 years.
Yeah.
And so this charge of incitement to violence must be sort of second nature to you.
Yes.
What is that? What is this incitement to violence?
For us, not only the incitement, this scenario, the incident happened on 9th of May.
Yeah.
According to this, in the point of the investigative angle,
Yeah.
there are three parts of this crime.
Okay.
I should say that there are three parts. The first is the conspiracy. You see, now these people whom have gathered the temple trees,
Yeah.
has brought some clubs, balls, swords. We have seen in the social media, through social media and some
So
recording,
weaponry.
weaponry, and that is, then how these things comes to their hand, whether they have brought it from different part of the island where they initiate their journey, or these things are distributed at the temple trees. We first will have to sort out this. The second is the instigation of some politicians, because according to the available information, this crowd, they came various part of the island, have come to the temple trees to give the warm farewell to the outgoing Prime Minister.
Yes.
That is what we learned.
To show their gratitude.
Show their gratitude and to say goodbye and to give the warm welcome to the outgoing Prime Minister, because it was published in the media that particular day the Prime Minister is going to hand over his resignation to the President. Then how this crowd convert into the mob, unruly thugs with armed with clubs, and get out of the official residence of the second citizen of this country and did this violence. That is the second part, and third part is the act. Now, according to in my point of view as a police officer, these three scenarios have to be clarified by investigators.
Right.
Who conspired for this instance, and who are the people who have instigate, because not like those days, today we have enough electronic evidence. Now a lot of people have seen how some senior ministers were spoken, and how they motivate this crowd, how they convert this political gathering into the violence mob. After that only they got out of the temple trees. They start to hammer the Maina Gogama, the people who were peaceful protesters who was gathered. They are about more than 2-3 weeks they were there. And they start to hammer in the very brutal manner. You must have seen that one person is hammering a priest who's wearing a robe. And then how far from this, what 1.8 kilometers they travel without any police blockage or any without any resistance. They went up to the Gota Gogama, just opposite the President's Secretariat, and did that part of their damage. Then these things, because after this only this everything happened. Then first thing we'll have to very clearly investigate into this. I think even now police is not fast enough. As a senior police officer whom have served over 40 years, I should say this. These things, these are not the matters to take for long. Now, not like
we need to get action.
Because there are so many electronic evidence, there are so many recordings, there are so many people whom have seen, and they have given evidence.
So there's a good eclectic mix of,
I have noticed there's a very bad delay. This is not good for to keep the law and order of the country.
And what exactly do you have to say or do to be charged under this incitement to violence?
Exactly, because some of the politicians you may have seen, I should say these some senior politicians who are representative of this Podujana Exat Peramuna, especially Mr. Johnston Fernando, the way he talked. The way he instigate this crowd, because usually this politically motivated people very easily to convert into the mob. When they are getting together with a big crowd, and that was a very emotional moment. It's very, because they have done it. Because now the police have to record all the evidence, and even I have seen this Mr. Johnston Fernando statements are recorded, and he was scot free. But police have
is that normal? Do you get investigated? You come in, give a statement, and then you go home or go wherever you want to go, and is it thereafter that a decision may be made by the investigating
Exactly,
officers?
because usually when the investigation is carried out, you will have to analyze the evidence Sometimes, especially when CID is handling, they seek the instruction from the Attorney General. Now I have seen that in the media it's published that Attorney General has already named 26 suspects. List has been sent to CID. Now this have to be, but these things have to be done little fast way, because
But these 26 names, does it include any senior?
Yes, senior DIG Mr. Deshabandhu Tennakone's name was there.
But where's the politician?
Yeah, Mr. Johnston Fernando's name was there. Now one person was arrested, this Sanat Nishanta.
In practice, when you were a serving officer, in practice, when your phone goes, you tend to answer it.
Yes.
So, how many times may you have had? Is it very many, or is it the other side? Hardly any. Calls from politicians to say, DIG, SDIG, inspector when you were an inspector, and so on, right through your ranks.
Yes.
How many times would you have?
So many times for us. I can mention a couple of instances, because once
please do. We want to show the people the real truth.
Once when Mr. John Amaratunga was the Ministry of Public Security, his Pradesi Sabha Sabhapati was suspected for killing another politician, another rival party Palat Sabha Mantri, Palat Sabha MP. Then when I was doing my investigation, somehow it was leaked to Honorable Minister. He phoned me and said that, are you going to arrest this so and so? I said, yes, Honorable Minister. Yes, now I have collected enough evidence. To evening I am going to arrest. Then he said, it will be a big havoc for him. He said, can't say, because I have already recorded statement. And the very first evening I arrested that time he was the ruling Pradesi Sabha Sabhapati of this for this murder, and he was remanded. In so many instances, because as a police officer you have to explain. You will have to. There are so many people who go and tell some stories to the politicians. Then they phone you up, but you will have to explain. When I was at Maravilla,
but you have to not only explain. You need to ensure that your spine is made of the hardest material going.
That depends on your personality.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that depends on your personality. I got antagonized with so many politicians in so many times, but I have done my part. That is why I was able to go for a scot-free retirement after serving 40 years, because I never
no cases against you.
No, nothing. No case against because
so you're getting your full pension.
Out of my 40 years, about 36 years I was in the field. Then there's no fundamental right cases filed against me. There's no court cases. There's no disciplinary inquiries. Nothing, because I have worked. I have almost antagonized with all serious criminals, but so far nothing. Now I am retired.
Well, touch wood and that it'll all go on. But DIG Priyantha Jayakodi, what exactly constitutes incitement to violence? What do you have to say?
Because that depends for us, because the way you speak, the contents of your speech, the mode of your speech, and the environment, is everything. It's a collaboration of all aspects.
Okay.
It's for the incitement, because the way you speak, the contents of your speech, and the environment, everything that depends on the scenario.
And if you said, we are so sorry, Minder, that you're going, please don't go, is there incitement?
No, nothing. That is his person.
We are so sorry, Minder, that you're going. We don't want you to go. I urge all of you there to go out there and clear those protesters.
Exactly.
30 days the president hasn't been able to do it.
Yes.
We will do it you can do it in 30 minutes.
Exactly.
Is that incitement?
It's very clear incitement. Very clear incitement.
But what about this incentive to violence?
Yes, that is also part of this issue.
Yes,
Yes.
because there are people who say these things,
Yes.
and their incentive
Yes.
is in a way the motivation.
Yes.
That's the motive.
Yes.
So when you're charging somebody for incitement, do you also need motivation?
Correct.
I see.
Motivation is also a factor of this incitement. One
Right.
factor of the incitement.
And this incentive could well be the continuation of power,
Power. Yes.
being in power,
Being in
continuing
power.
to be a member of parliament,
Member of the parliament.
continuing to have the opportunity, if you so desire, to rob the people.
Exactly. And to enjoy all the privileges what they are enjoying.
On that note, Senior DIG Priyanta Jayakodi is our guest this evening, and let's go and take a little peek at this evening's headlines from the News First Primetime News team. See you on the other side.
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz, Shauketaly.
Why was the 21st Amendment proposed by the JVP thrown out during a discussion with the Prime Minister?
මේ පූල් එක වස විස වලින් පිරලා තියෙනවා.
Sapugaskanda refinery restarts. Vehicles stall after confusion at a fuel station. Bimal Veeravansa's wife sentenced to 2 years imprisonment. Why were surveyors inspecting Gotago Gama?
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz, Shauketaly.
And welcome back to Newsline Live. I'm in conversation with Senior DIG Priyanta Jayakodi, now happily in retirement, but kind enough to come on our program and explain these things to us. Damages. What about damages? You know, when these people get arrested. Now, I went down Navamawata yesterday. In fact, I went down there today as well. The thing is, where those buses were burning on the 9th, and,
Yes.
and we were there, and I've taken personally, I have footage. Now the buses have gone.
Yes.
Okay, there's the one aspect is that the buses are burnt, you know, so there's damage there.
Correct.
But, you know, most of these things, that road is damaged. The tar has been melted, you know, with that. Who is paying for all that?
Yes.
That part, the road.
Because not only that, Faraz, even the burning the buses
Yeah.
is all a damage to the country, because though
Yes, so some of them might be owned by private owners.
no, even private owners,
Yeah.
that's a country's assets.
Yes.
Now we'll have to spend some more dollars to bring down those buses back as a new buses, or to repair it, because this is the instance where the law breaks, because police and army and all the security forces are there to protect the people.
So hopefully when they eventually get to court, into trial stage, hopefully the prosecuting side, which will be the police,
Yes.
will insist,
And the state.
and the state,
Yeah.
the state will insist that the sentencing and the damages must take account of the damages to the road as well.
But yes,
the
that's-
embankment walls along the Beira Lake were all broken down.
That's a state property.
Yes.
Damage into the
But
road.
you know, this is the next point here. There's several questions about that. So I'll just take in general. It's a sad state of affairs. Normally, I wouldn't be able to take this phone into Temple Trees. Well, I wouldn't be anywhere close to the president or the prime minister. I wouldn't. It'll have to be specially given to me. I have to leave it out.
Yes.
So, how did these people get poles to use?
That is why what I told you, because it's a part of the conspiracy.
Right.
Either these poles and other prohibited items have to bring by them from the different part of the country where they initiate their journey,
Yeah.
or it should be distributed by somebody
So
within the premises of the temple tree.
So apparently these were flagpoles.
Yes, no, because people have seen there are a lot of poles, then swords, and all some weapons.
Yeah,
Yes.
you know, I'm dying to ask you hundreds of questions, but given the Wasim Tajuddin non-case, because there's no case now, right? Or there is, but you know what I mean. It's like a bit of flourish here, tongue-in-cheek. But given the inaction of those sort of high-profile cases,
Yes.
what chances, DIG Priyanta Jayakodi, what chances of a successful prosecution in terms of these thugs who attacked citizens of Sri Lanka?
Yes.
Peaceful citizens.
Yes, for us, not like our days. Now there are enough electronic evidence. It was recorded by your mobile camera. Now in law it is empowered. Law it is acceptable. In courts, these all original recordings have to be examined by the judges very carefully. Now a lot of people have seen what happened on the 9th of May, and these are very valuable part of a piece of evidence, because these have to be tabled to the court.
But our justice system is so painfully slow.
Yes, there is a long delay of our justice system.
That's a separate matter.
That is a separate matter. But during these cases, the investigation part have to be done very fast, because especially there are so many issues are involved. Then the delay in this legal process, it leads to some other problems also, especially the social problem, because this is not a just ordinary incident, and after this incident there are thousands of other cases reported, because that was the bad patch to the country, bad patch to the country's history. Because when the foreign media they produce this to the world, what is the image of Sri Lanka? Then these things have to answer. These things have to tackle very carefully by the peace-loving people of the country.
But you know, I don't want this to be some sort of kiss and tell story. And if you're uncomfortable about answering it, you know, you don't have to.
Yes.
But I want to ask you, this senior police officer in charge of the province, I'll say it, Mr. Tenakon.
Yes.
Right. The public are now saying that, look, this guy didn't do his job.
Exactly, because he.
Why wouldn't he do his job?
No, is he
going to jeopardize his pension?
he was the commanding officer to the point,
Yeah,
that particular site.
Yeah.
Then he have to take initiative all the action, because he is second only to the Inspector General of Police. Even if someone say this, don't do it, it is not his duty, because in so many decided cases you'll have to do what is the correct.
It's
not somebody instigate or on somebody's. You don't need somebody's instruction to stop the unruly crowd, people whom are coming and to hammer the innocent people.
Yes,
you have to wait and ask whether I will stop them and all, because usually according to the, I don't know whether this is correct, according to the Inspector General of Police, he instructs Mr. Tenakon to obtain the court order for this meeting.
Why do you need a court order?
No, usually the police used to go to courts and get the orders and explain to the people. No, now that particular day when these were, they have some intelligence reports, and according to that, according to the Inspector General of Police, what he has mentioned in the media, he instruct, but this court order was not taken, because usually for the illegal pageants, illegal gatherings, first police is what they do is they go to the courts and get the order. For this case, there's no such order was obtained from the court. Then second, for us, the most suitable place to stop this unruly crowd who's proceeding after hammering the temple trees is just opposite the American Center as a very practical police officer. That's the most smallest passage, and you know there's a rail bridge. If you properly block this place, no one could have
gone to
that side. Then if you want really to stop this crowd and to protect, because
but isn't it a serious matter, Senior DIG Priyantha Jayakodi, when we have serving senior police officers who are entrusted, who have, apart from a moral duty, they have a constitutional duty to protect the public,
yes,
to protect the sovereign people of Sri Lanka.
Yes, constitution.
And isn't it completely crazy that a senior policeman gets acts with some collateral purpose and places the jeopardy of the very people he is supposed to protect?
Yes, that exactly, because it's a penal offense. As a civil, as a state officer, as a government servant, if he failed to fulfill his duty, it's a criminal charge under the penal code, and morally it's wrong, and constitutionally it's wrong. No one can justify this, because if you are because I went through the statement given by the Inspector General of Police. It was published in the media. According to him, he has particularly said, because he is the commanding officer to the ground, he don't need to get instructions from anyone. If the man is coming to hammer you, if I am a police officer, it is my primary duty to protect you.
And how
though I am on civil, though I am on leave,
because
under the section 56 of the police ordinance, though you are on leave, you have you are empowered. You have to do it. You can't say that I am on leave, I am off. There's nothing called to the police officers.
According to the police, you are policeman.
When you recruited until your retirement, you are a police officer. You are having all the powers to act anywhere in the island. That is what the section 56 of the police ordinance say. Whether day, night, off, whatever it is. If someone come to hammer you as a police officer, I have to protect you. I have to intervene. Otherwise, you will be charged for the cowardice.
And how odd is it that the president of the country, the #1 citizen, had to call this officer and say to him, I am the president. I am telling you to stop this at once.
Exactly.
I mean, come on.
Yes.
You
can see the situation of the police officers of the country. If the president can't order a police officer to do the lawful thing, if he doesn't carry out it, what is the situation of the country's
for inaction,
security?
For inaction, like in the case of the alleged inaction by Mr. Tennecoon.
As a retired police officer, I should say, for this whole scenario, police is responsible. If police act in proper manner, nothing could have happened. Would you
go so far as to say that that the honourable thing to do would be for the Inspector General of Police of Sri Lanka to tender his resignation immediately?
Yeah, because now the inquiry, the investigation is going on. But if I am an Inspector General of Police, at that time, I have no moral rights to retain in the service after such a big incident happened. Failure. You can see a lot of countries, even the minor things, some people have to resign. But in Sri Lanka, that's not the practice.
But when do you think that Sri Lanka will turn that corner? In South Korea, we have 4 presidents of South Korea who actually served time.
Yes.
Do you think we have to wait for a reincarnation of SWRD Bandaranaike to do that? Because he's the only one who told 2 of his errant ministers that if you've got caught and you better go.
Yes.
Otherwise, I will take action.
Yeah.
And they quietly slunked away.
He is one of the Prime Minister whom have initiated this bribery commission, Talgodipitiya commission, and removed some of his ministers. That should happen now. Now I think for us now society is very much awake, very much think about these things. Now today the peoples have more power. You can see when you are getting to the road, you can see this. That should be happen. All the injustice should be avoid.
And I don't know, but very quickly I'll just tell you a small little story. I don't know if you're aware, but here at the Capital Maharaja Group, my late chairman, Mr. Rajamahendran, employed and offered for employment, and that gentleman did join us. He was the former bribery commissioner, Mr. Ian Wickrunaka.
Yes.
He worked here with our group.
Correct.
And that was obviously after he left. But I just thought I'd mention it because we are, after all, the people's channel. We represent the people, and we do that 24/7 through a variety of channels and social media and so on and so forth. So do remember that the Capital Maharaja media stables, Sirius Shakti, TV1, and our radio stations, including, of course, SFM, are all reflective of the people's distress, the people's voice, the forgotten people of Sri Lanka. Chini Diaji, Priyanta Jakuri, I'm sorry to let you go, but you know there is a small matter of watching the prime time news this evening. So on that note, I'd like to say really a very big thank you for coming here and giving us your time.
Thank you for inviting me for this your program, and I'm enjoying this program for us.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure the Republic, the sovereign people of Sri Lanka will appreciate your duty. Thank you. And on that note, it's now time for the Primetime News. Take care, have a great evening ahead of you, and as always, God bless you all.